did that, and then they transitioned me to a writer, being paid very well, getting like 1 or 2 articles per week, which is another part-time job. And all of a sudden, this is something that is very quickly approaching something that could be my job, that could be my permanent full-time job. I love it. I'm traveling to Vegas to meet some more people for what's called Summer League, where all the national media members go, the executives go from each respective organization. It's a great opportunity to watch young players. It's a great opportunity to meet people. And it's just something else that I'm investing my time into.
Yes.
And that podcasting also led me to voiceovers. And now I've probably done 30 voiceovers, I think, in the last year. They range anywhere from like $100 to like $1,500 a pop. And some of them have been pretty notable. And that all came from podcasting. I invested in a really nice microphone. I was without a job for a month, so I figured I might as well do this. And then a month later, after I got this job at Bleacher Report, after I was doing voiceovers, I got my Disney job back. So that's just like that's just the nature of this stuff. You can't really predict anything. There's no explanation. And it seems that just when everything like couldn't get any worse, all of a sudden you have more jobs than you know what to do with, and all of a sudden you're just like completely overwhelmed, but in all the best ways possible.
And that's pretty amazing, because at the end, when you're doing this in the podcasting world, you never know who's listening to you, because as I explain to the audience and to the guests that we have every week, sometimes they listen to you in countries that you don't know how you got there, but in a certain way they're listening to you. And that's the idea, telling stories of real life people like you, people that are working hard to make their ends meet, people that are working hard to make their dreams come true, as I said at the beginning. And as I mentioned before, you have worked in the entertainment business as a whole. So what is the most important memory that you can recall at this moment that it's the highlight of your career?
The Tony Awards, for sure. That was the most scared I've ever been in my entire life. I was working a Royal Caribbean ship, the Oasis of the Seas. At the time, it was the biggest ship in the world. And the Tony Awards were suffering at the time. They were really low on sponsors. So Royal Caribbean reached out to help, and they said, advertise us, we'll advertise you. And they said, well, we know you have a couple of full-fledged musicals on your ships. Is there any that you'd like to promote on our show? And they said, yes, Hairspray is in the Caribbean, so it's got a good signal. We like the sets, and we like the performers in it, so we'd like to broadcast live from our cruise ship on the 2012 Tony Awards hosted by Neil Patrick Harris. And, of course, when they told me this a week from the production of the show. I think it was June 11th, 2012, something like that. Anyway, I've never been more scared in my life for obvious reasons. Obviously, it's being televised internationally.
Yes.
But more so than that, we were performing on a cruise ship, so there was all this negative feedback from guys who had been on Broadway that these guys don't deserve to be on the Tony Awards, that sort of thing. So I knew everyone was rooting for me to fail. Mm-hmm. Everybody was waiting for me to fall on my face, to forget my lines, to crack on a note, to miss a dance step. Everybody, if I had failed, everybody would have stood up and cheered. And we gave one hell of a performance. I don't know if anybody watched that thing, but if you saw, there were a couple of performances that year that I didn't think were up to the quality of the Tony Awards. But when you watch our performance was spot on. Everybody was spot on. Everybody sounded great. And we were all so proud because everybody wanted us to fail. And we gave a great product. And there's just something to be said for overcoming that feeling, overcoming that anxiety, rising above it, and just knowing that, overcoming your fear of failure. Whether you do it by bungee jumping or whether you do it by performing on a stage, like just to know that you have the strength and you have the courage to overcome that fear really is a lifelong, lasting memory that's never going to leave you. And that's one of the reasons why this industry is so special.
Yes, and you performed on Hairspray at the Royal Caribbean, and you were Corny Collins, correct?
Yes, I was singing Nicest Kids in Town.
Yes, so I saw that video a few weeks ago and then yesterday, and it's pretty amazing. And for those of you that want to see that, you have that on your website. And if you can tell us your social media for people that would like to follow your steps and know where you are and the upcoming projects that you want, just go ahead and say whatever your social media is on Instagram and how they can look at your reels, listen to your voiceovers and everything that you have online.
Yeah, you guys can go to Preston M prestonellis.com, and that's M as in Michael. That's not my middle name, it's Macmillan, but I don't know why I said Michael. So just go to prestonmellis.com. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can. It's at PrestonEllis1. However, I must caution you, it's 90% puppy photos. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, where you can see all my basketball takes, my articles, my podcasts, I post something pretty much every day. It's just simply at Preston Ellis on Twitter. So there you have it. You guys can follow me. I appreciate it more so than anything else. Everything when you're on our level, everything is spread by word of mouth.
That's true.
Everything is spread by sharing, by just making that extra effort, and that's how we get jobs. That's how we get recognition. That's how we get opportunities. So if you like what you've heard on this podcast, if you like what you see on my website, if you like anything about me, and my name pops up in any fashion, just relating that story, relating that message, you don't know the effect, you don't know the power that you have by doing that, by saying somebody's name, by sharing something, by getting more eyes on something. You don't know the power that you have, and it's up to us to do that together, to do that for each other, to help promote each other, to help support each other. And that's how you make things great, not just like in this industry, but that's how you make shows great, that's how you make your workplace great, that's how you make your family great, is always uplift and support each other. And I really appreciate you guys doing that for me.
And it doesn't even cost anything. It's just knocking on doors or maybe texting someone, hey, I'd listen to your podcast, it's amazing. And you start sharing it to your friends and family, and then they're going to start sharing it with their friends and family. And that's how everything will be spreading out. And you never know when someone will be listening to you, as it happened to you with Bonnie and Clyde, and then you're going to get a contract of maybe your dream job. And talking about that, I have a question for you, but you never know when that's going to happen. And speaking of dream roles, what's your dream role?
Oh man, this one's pretty hard for me.
It's a tough question, right? We all do have one.
Yeah, no, I've got several. One of them was Birds and Wild Party, and that was great. One of them was Clyde. I got to do Chad and All Shook Up. Jerry and Full Monty was something I wanted to do for a long time, and I think I got to do it 4 times. Altar Boys was definitely a blast. But one in Memphis, oh my God, I'm losing the character's name, but that's okay. You guys know what I'm talking about. And I was offered the role at Slow Burn Theater in Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to look up his name right now. Memphis character, Broadway show. Huey something. I can't remember. But anyway, he sings Memphis Lives in Me. I was offered the role. I initially took it, and then I thought, you know what? I don't have enough vacation days for this. I don't want to be away from my wife and our pets for 5 weeks. It's a 3-hour drive, so it's not a commute that you can make daily. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pass on this opportunity. And then I ended up losing my Disney job, and I thought, you know what? Why did I care about what Disney thought? Like, obviously, you want to serve your company well, and you want to do well, and you want to show up, and you want to fulfill your promise when you sign a contract. But when it comes to an opportunity like that, like, you agree to a contract and you fulfill the contract, but you also have to take care of yourself. You also have to keep filling your own cup. You also have to keep fulfilling that passion, keeping that confidence growing, and continue working on your own product. And that is both a dream role that I wish I had played, and it's also a singular regret of something. And obviously, we all get to a place, like everything leads to a purpose. Like, maybe turning that down and regretting that is what led me to drive to Theater West End to audition for Wild Party. You just don't know, and everything happens for a reason. But with that being said, if I could play Huey in Memphis, I think that would just be a dream come true.
That's pretty amazing. We heard you singing One Song Glory from Rent, which was a production. Talk to us a little bit about that character. For some people listening to us here in the United States on Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, whenever this podcast is available, you can listen to it all the time and share it to your friends and family so they can listen to Preston Ellis' story and relate and resonate with it. So talk to us a little bit about Roger on Rent. How did it mean to you? Because we already know that you had a lot of fun with Courtney Collins on Hairspray. You were on national television during the 2012 Tony Awards, hosted by Neil Patrick Harris. That was amazing. But talk to us a little bit about that production of Rent, and what did it mean to you playing that important and iconic character for some people, and even that's a dream role for some singers and actors looking to have a role in the musical theater, even though Rent, it's not on Broadway anymore, but they have a tour production of it. Yeah,
that was definitely my most difficult experience in this industry. in my career. I guess I've been in this, 16 years or so. That was the most difficult, and it wasn't necessarily the character so much as it was the theater. Sometimes when you're in this industry, you're not taken care of. Not just not taken care of. I don't need a lot. I just mean, like, I was living in Phoenix, Arizona. I was in this apartment that had cockroaches. It had rats. The refrigerator didn't work. The air conditioner didn't work. We didn't have blinds on our window. Apparently, the person who was supposed to set up the apartment had been fired, had been let go. So, I'm a very nice person. I'm not a confrontational person. I was just like, hey, can you guys help me out with this? This is what's happening. My roommate did the same thing, and they gave us a lot of pushback, and they were really hard. And I called my agent. I was like, I don't know if I can live like this for 7 weeks. And so my agent took care of it, and they put in blinds. They replaced the refrigerator, but you could just tell for the rest of the process how angry they were at me. And so when I would make choices on stage, and I always fulfill what a director tells me to, but usually what happens in most processes is a director will block something. They'll give you a couple of hints about what direction they want you to take, but really they want to give you the blocking, they want you to go out there, and they want you to be the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm. And so in this instance, that's what happened. And then I went out onto the stage and I did myself, and the director was very short with me. He was not just with me, with all the principals. I think he was having a difficult time in his life, but he was very hard on us. He would yell at us. This is probably more information than you need to know specifically about that theater. But the point is, not every dream role is going to be a dream role. Not every dream show is going to be a dream show. Not every circumstance, regardless of how much positivity and fun you bring into it, is going to be a positive experience. And you have to know that. You have to know that it's not always going to be perfect. But at the end of the day, you still have to be positive. You still have to bring your A game. You still have to bring your work ethic. And every time I stepped onto that stage, I gave one hell of a show. I invested everything I had in it. I think I made the theater proud for the people who came and saw the show. I gave them what they were looking for. And Rent is a fun show to perform. People tell you that when you play a very sad, angry character that you bring that home with you. No, obviously you invest, you do a lot of work. But when you are out there singing a song like One Song Glory, singing Across from Mark, playing a guitar for Mimi, those are things that you don't get to experience in most shows. Those are emotions that you don't get to emit in most shows. And how anybody can consider that anything else than a blast, anything else than a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is beyond me. But for me, once I stepped onto the stage, it was purely special. And we all felt connected by the experience that we had, me and the other principals. And we had one hell of a time, and we put on one hell of a show. And when you have a group that really connects and really bonds, I think an audience can experience that. And I think an audience that really resonates with them when you see those passionate, special moments, and you see that those people really are connected to each other.
It's true. And speaking of that character and portraying Roger and singing and connecting to the audience, you mentioned One Song Glory, and you have that on your website, but I have a special request, if it's possible, of course, because you know that you have to train and all that and warm-ups, but is there a way that you can give us just a slight little taste of your voice singing One Song Glory from Rent?
I'm so sorry. I have so many recordings of this. I would feel weird not doing it with music or a band or something. I don't even know what pitch I would start on. But I promise you guys, I have so many videos of this on my site. If you go to my SoundCloud, you can hear a live recording of that. One thing that I can drop with you guys is I have a ton of recordings of Wild Party. And for those of you who didn't get to see it, it's very similar to the style of Rent in the singing. It's that kind of really passionate, gritty rock sound, very Andrew Lippa. There's one video on Facebook right now. There's actually a 15-second snippet on my Facebook, but also on Instagram, if you follow at Preston Ellis1. Once you comb through all the puppy photos, you can see probably about 32 bars of me singing What Is It About Her. But I've got the entire musical. I'm breaking down and editing all the film right now, so I should have the full performance of What Is It About Her. I've got Let Me Drown. I've got Make Me Happy, and that'll all be posted to my website and on Instagram soon.
So make sure to follow those websites, follow Preston on Instagram so you can get a taste of his talent. And now, Preston, we're getting to the end of Artistic Spot, and we have a very nice section which is called Fast Questions and Short Answers. Are you ready for them? They're specially made for you to get to know you a little bit better on his personal side, but they're fast, and you just have to tell us whatever comes to your mind. Are you ready for it?
Fire away.
So the fast question and short answer portion of Artistic Spot begins now. Favorite color?
Silver.
Flavor.
Chocolate.
Favorite city.
I guess I'll say New.
Tac.
You know what? No, I'm gonna say Vancouver.
If you were given the chance to go back in time, who would you like to meet?